I am happy to welcome back our dear friend Rudy Alminana, who is a licensed psychotherapist, a Buddhist, and a liaison for the Thai Buddhist Temple. We're happy to have you today. I believe your topic is the human operating system, so I look forward to hearing more about that. Please help me welcome Rudy, and we'll get him all set up.
All right, great. So my name is Rudy. I've presented here before quite a few times. So my background is in psychotherapy. I've been a Buddhist for about 25, 26 years. I've been involved with the temple locally. So I think there's a message. Why don't we start this? I usually start with a really simple meditation to just center into, because the message really that I've always brought was how to separate ourselves from the craziness of the mind. I've talked about the monkey mind before. We talked about mindfulness. We talked about so many things that were obstacles to just being able to be here. So even the message that I'm bringing today, when you walk away from here today, what I would like is for you to realize that you're not stuck in this existence where you're suffering all of the time because you're so attached to everything that is going on, that there is a way for us to through a conscious effort to separate ourselves from that rigid being that is so powerless, and knowing that it's being manipulated from so many different angles, we all are, that we can't discern what's truth and what's not. Can we find peace within that? You know, and you talked about equanimity was kind of like one of the things I think that you brought up, and one of the four sublime attitudes for us is, which is the highest form of love for a Buddhist, is equanimity. Is the ability to internally stay even keel. As my brain is firing all over the place because of my past trauma and because of somebody like running across me at the light, you know, and I'm inside and I'm a mess. But meanwhile, I'm trying to keep it cool, right? And that's the whole point, is like learning how to be able to have equanimity, to realize it's like, I'm not really liking what I'm feeling inside. But how I manifest it and how I put it out there and what I do with it, that is something that we can train ourselves to. And that's what I want to talk a little bit in a minute, okay? So why don't we just let's do a very basic settling into the present moment meditation. You know, meditations. There we go. Turn on. So, yeah, learning how to go with the flow, that's a big part of it. You know, like that everything doesn't have to be the way Rudy wants it to be all the time in order for him to feel safe. You know? And that sometimes in trying to do that, I create barriers with others because I feel protected, but I'm just closed off to everything because I'm really so afraid. You know, so the meditations come differently. You know, you can do like mindfulness meditations, you can do like pain management meditation, you can do meditations for anxiety. The meditations that we practice is just a meditation it's called insight meditation, and it's a very active meditation. It's not a meditation where we're trying to separate ourselves from everything. It's a meditation where we want to come to this present moment and realize it's like, man, I can't quiet my mind. And that's okay. Just breathe through it and allow your mind to be there. But it's an acceptance. It's an acceptance of reality for what it is. So I'm not trying to get you to be Om. That's not it. If you're not Om, then embrace the fact that you're not Om, you know. But that embracing of reality is creates a lot less pressure internally than running into a concrete wall and telling yourself over and over, like, this time is going to be different. It doesn't work. So just close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And as you let it go, it's just kind of like let go of whatever mind content is there with the breath. Blow it out. Take another deep breath. Just observe. Is your heart beating hard, slow? Are you able to relax? Just observe your system as you breathe. Continue to breathe in. Just observe the mind. Is your mind going like, I can't do this, this is so silly? Why? It's okay then. That's what it's doing. We watch it. And like clouds, we just watch them go by, their thoughts. As a group right now, we're momentarily making a conscious choice to just for the little bit that we're here, like let go of that other stuff and see if we can momentarily recharge. I often think of the serenity prayer, and the first part of the serenity prayer is we ask for God to give us what? The serenity. We don't ask for anything else. We ask for serenity first. Through a conscious effort, if we just choose to stop momentarily and take time to just take a breath, we can settle into the present moment as for what it is. Okay, so when you're ready, just open your eyes. So, as a psychotherapist, I've been in the field for about 30 years, and I come from childhood trauma myself, eventually leading to alcoholism. Not because I was partying, just because the tolerance kept going up, the medication didn't work, to eventually it learned to a downward spiral, right? So I've learned through my own pain, being on both sides, as a client and as a professional. And now at 62, I just turned 62. In the observation of everything that I have learned, through spiritual awakenings, this idea of bringing forward the gift of teaching about the human operating system. Because in Buddhism, everything is about a non-self, right? A spiritual awakening is about dying the ego, right? That ego death that we work so hard to bring about, so I can separate myself from the way I want things to be, so I can just be free momentarily, okay? Ego death. So there's all of these different practices. People do ayahuasca, people do all kinds of spiritual things that we go about in order to have that spiritual awakening. And what I started seeing is it's like that the things that kept us away from that spiritual awakening were the obstacles that we had ourselves to attachments, that things have to be a certain way. And if there was a lesson that I've learned, oh my God, it's like it doesn't work. Because talk about self-will, like this time it's going to be different, and this time I got it, and over and over and over. And it was about learning to just surrendering it all. And it was, I didn't do it voluntarily. I did it because life made me do it. And then on the other side of that, here I am trying to bring a message of that there is a way for us to be able to look at ourselves, not at this entity that is at the mercy of this chemical releases from the brain. We produce those chemicals by our relationship to our inner thoughts. We know that here at the church. I had, let me see, this right here that I read that is part of the church values, right? And it says, love holds us together as we constantly align our actions and values. That's it, as we constantly align our actions and values. It doesn't say we're supposed to know what our actions and values are. You see, it's saying we align. In order to align our values and our actions, we have to be aware of what am I thinking? What am I doing, right? Okay. So the human operating system, and I just wrote it on this, first of all, it's a concept that I came up with, that it's a metaphor. I'm not saying this is scientifically proven or anything. I'm saying as a metaphor, if you look at yourself as a human operating system, your chances of being able to control your anxiety or depression, a lot of your self-created aspect of the reality of having life issues. You know, I see people, for example, somebody passes away, how we grieve. And I get to see the Thai culture, how they grieve loss. I get to see our American culture, how we grieve, our attachments to that. And both are dealing with a grieving process, the loss of an individual, but how they react to it is differently, right? You see, the more we are attached to the individual, the more we seem to suffer about letting go. Well, a lot of us that have done the work about the process of grieving and dying, it becomes a much easier like part of life. You know, I feel privileged today to be able to assist somebody in the process of transitioning. It's not a most horrible thing for me today. You know, it's a crucial part of our lives that we're transitioning. I want somebody that loves me next to me, holding my hand. I want to be that person for you. Get it? Because we're all going to go through a process. So anyway, so in the human operating system, what I explain is this: it says that we are made up of, we know this, awareness, right? We can all agree we're sitting here at the church right now, right? How do we know that? Through a mirror where we're looking at ourselves. So right now, in your awareness, we can all agree it's an absolute. It's an absolute truth. It's not like maybe. We're all sitting here at this church this moment. So all of that, all of us have that mirror all of the time that is with me, that I'm looking at myself. They're like, yeah, look, you're moving your arm right now, but where am I seeing myself? I don't, maybe the third eye or whatever, but here it's a silent mirror of our present experience, right? So the human operating system, for us to be able to look at ourselves at any one moment, we have to understand that there's awareness at work all the time. Awareness doesn't think, doesn't decide, doesn't tell you if it's good or bad. No, it's just what is. It's not whether this is a nice church or I like being here or not. It's not that. It's I am here. And we can all agree on that. The relative truth is a little different. That's when you start into your opinions about being here. But I'm talking about the absolute truth, which is awareness itself, right? So a human being is made up of that mirror. Then we have what? The hardware system. What's the hardware system on a computer? The part you can touch, right? Right, and it has a keyboard. The keyboard, what's our keyboard? How do we relate to input, output, data? Through our senses, right? So we have a sensorial keyboard. That's how I relate to you. If I walk in and there's a certain smell, then I make up certain stories, right? But we're continuously relating to what we were taught that were 5 senses, and we have 6 senses. The sense that deals with anxiety, depression, and all that is really the thinking sense. If I start bringing up from memory anything painful about you right now, you're not going to feel great. You're going to feel sad, right? How am I creating that? By starting to talk about your puppy or something that you had that was dear to you and you lost. Okay. That right there is just like having another eye or another ear. So get it? Mental objects are just like food for the tongue or a visual object for the eye. Get it? So we don't have 5 senses. We have 6. And it's really important to look at that 6th key, which is the mind itself that is looking at mental objects. If right now you start thinking of your divorce, or the pain that caused you, okay, that's a mental object. What does that produce? For your fight-flight mechanism to kick in, for you to be angry and upset. Well, that's an automatic thing. But in there, through awareness, I realize that I have a choice. Do I want to be thinking about that right now? Is that conducive to how I want to feel right now? Right? So if I'm at the mercy of what I call ANTs, A-N-T, automatic negative thoughts, they're in there, automatic negative thoughts. If I'm at the mercy of my software system, which we didn't get to yet, which is the mind itself, if I'm at the mercy of my mind producing automatic thoughts and I'm going to be feeling like great one minute, sad the next minute, and upset at whoever I'm talking with because I'm angry, But I don't understand that I'm angry because the last thought that my mind decided to throw at me was how my daughter hasn't called me in 2 days. Get it? And so here it's like I'm driving, maybe, I don't know, maybe my childhood trauma, loneliness, separation, whatever that is, all of a sudden made it say, your kid hasn't called you in 2 days. If I don't catch it at that level, next time I'm doing this, I'm calling her, saying like, baby, you haven't called me. Okay, here we go. Was that necessary? After the fact, I realized that I was impulsive in my reaction. So the whole thing about the human operating system, which is a book that I'm writing, that I'm working on to put it together, is for us to look at ourselves as awareness, a body with a sensorial keyboard. The brain part of, we can touch the brain, so it's part of the hardware system. And in brain we have memory, read-only memory, ROM, or random access memory, RAM. And we're continuously dealing with the data that we put in memory, right? Like when you go to therapy, what do you work on? What happened to you as a child? What did you learn about relationships? What did you learn about what a dad is? What did you learn what a mom is? What did you learn about the legal system? And how are you functioning today? And when things aren't functioning, you're getting in trouble, then you have to go and look back, and it's like, where did I learn that this makes sense when actually it's counterproductive? Okay. In everything that I'm talking about, I'm just trying to get to you that you're not stuck on walking out of here and turning on the radio or whatever, and whatever's being said, that you have to process. You can say, no, I don't want to, I know what I can, for example, politics. I know how much I can politically do myself. But like, what warrior am I in that arena? Am I, or am I here with you? So there's different levels. There's social activism, right? That you go out. And then there's a one-to-one level that we try to reach each other. And we're all in the same battle in a way. What's the battle? To ease the suffering that we are causing each other unnecessarily. Right? And so my message is that if you're able to look at yourself not as this entity that is stuck to your brain chemicals and your depression, there's a way of understanding yourself in which you're able to start taking an active role. And do I want to grab onto that story or not? Get it? Do I want to grab onto the automatic negative thoughts? Or do I just want to let them be ants that just walk by and that's it, keep going? I don't know if, I'm sure some of you know Alan Watts, he would say it's like, let your thoughts in, but don't sit them down for tea, it's kind of like in the front door, out the back door, that's it. Thank you, not today. And what I'm saying is, if we look at ourselves as a human operating system made up of awareness, the hardware, and the software, which is the mind itself. Think about it. Feelings, you can't grab them, see them. Perceptions, what I think about things, they're data. Feelings, perception, mental formation, narratives, even awareness itself. It's all data. It's like, that's why they say form. Emptiness is form. Form is emptiness, right? Form is my emptiness. My feelings, perceptions, mental formations, and all of that are part of who I am. That's the unseen. This is the seen. Unfortunately, most of us grab onto the scene. Get it? And we live in this one because it's the only thing that can be real. I'm like, there's a whole, the bigger part of us is probably not seen. So anyway, that was my message, is that you're not stuck in your suffering. That you're not stuck in whatever story you're living in this present moment. I'm not saying that it doesn't hurt. I'm not saying deny it. I'm not saying that. I'm saying if it's there, embrace it as it's there. In the suffering, it's a lot less than if you're continuously trying to fight at it. If it already is, especially if it already is. So what I was going to say about politics, I get so worked up with everything I hear, right? That I really have to work at how am I in my operating system? Because if I'm not careful, then it will start clouding my present moment. And my present moment is the most important and most precious thing to me. Like more important than my daughter right now, which is the most precious thing in my life, okay? More important than her right now, it's you guys. I have no access to her. I can do absolutely zero this moment for her, but I can do something for you. So who's more important, her or you? My daughter. My daughter. Right. You see, in this moment, unless she was on the phone with me and I can give her some advice, that's different. But in this moment, I have no access to her. So whatever I have, it's a memory of something that my mind is making up. Right? So who is the most important person always in our world, our lives? That person right in front of us. I can bring you hope or I can tear you up in this moment. And I have a choice. We all do all the time. Right? So that's my message to you. And I hope it kind of liberates you a little bit and frees others from your own mind. So things don't have to be exactly how we want them to be. I'll leave you with this. I'll go through the whole serenity prayer. You know, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, right? But to have the wisdom, what's the first thing we ask for? Serenity. So if you think you're in there spinning, battling and fighting everything, and you think you're going to find the answer within that, I mean, you might get a good hit, where it's like, okay, I got one in, you know, but that's not the answer. The answer comes when we're serene. So my suggestion to you is seek that serenity so you can get the rest of it. You know, thank you very much for inviting me again.